She hates us and wants us to die. Business first. If you're in the greater Sacramento area or want to be in the greater Sacramento area on, say, December 18th, we are holding a deadlift competition with our friends at Caffeine and Kilos. You can go to our website if you want to sign up. Do it soon, however, if you want to get the meat t-shirt, which is free with the price of registration.
Yeah, you got till December 4th if you want to be guaranteed a t-shirt.
Yes.
After that, no guarantee for the t-shirt, but you can still enter the competition.
Yeah, thirdstreetbarbell.com, all spelled out. We haven't done a Q&A in a while.
I got a wild one to start it out.
Ooh.
I mean,
I like me a wild one.
this is bad because the internet, right, there's sarcasm and there's... I think I told you on Twitch there's emotes, right? And so there's ones called Kappa, and so you know you're being sarcastic if someone throws that in there.
Uh-huh.
So you know get the vibe.
Right.
But sometimes you don't know if people are trolling.
Yeah.
Or if they're joking or not joking. But this one says serious question BTW in some brackets at the end. So I'm going to take it serious.
Okay.
Is it normal? And whenever you start a question with, is it normal?
The answer is no.
Yeah. I mean, because if it's normal, we all know.
Yeah.
Is it normal to get gray hair as you get older? Is it normal to be hungry if you haven't eaten in 12 hours?
Right.
Is it normal to get, is it even normal to like not like the taste of coffee? Like, yeah, man, that's kind of normal. Like right there's all these things, but the world knows because it's normal.
Yeah.
Is it normal to poop with blood after heavy squats and deadlifts?
I feel like the answer to that is very clearly no. However,
I was going to go however too.
My however is you need to check your O-ring for blowouts. If you have hemorrhoids, it's very possible, and if you're a little constipated, that's a possibility.
Yeah.
But if you're bleeding from your gut, not just the opening, not just the, anus, that's a hell of a word, anus.
A bloody anus isn't good.
A bloody anus is not a good thing.
And not normal. And even my and if was going to be hemorrhoids as well.
Yeah.
Lifters, you gain some weight, you lift heavy, you may get some hemorrhoids. I think don't quote me. Maybe we could Google it. Even is it normal? If we want to get precise here, would be above average or average, right? So 50% or more. I think even hemorrhoids are below 50% of folks.
Oh, they have to be pretty much.
No, but I think that's pretty high. I do think once you reach a certain, it's kind of like the blown disc deal. Once you reach age 40, 50% of folks going to have a disc issue, right?
I'm gonna go ahead.
Go incognito on this one. Yeah,
I did. That's what I'm doing. I'm going incognito.
Yeah.
I don't need.
But I'm pretty sure
5,000 preparation age ads.
Yeah, hemorrhoids are normal. Also, you would say in a sense, but if same thing. Either way, dude. If you don't have a wound from like a paper cut or a scrape, I'm going to a doctor for most bleeding.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
yeah,
if there's an impact on my body and I start bleeding from where that impact was, so I can understand why I'm bleeding. Other than that, if you don't understand why you're bleeding, you should probably, if it comes out of an orifice, my ear,
your gums are bleeding.
maybe my nose, I'm backing off, but depends how weird it is because I don't get a lot of bloody noses, So if I start gushing blood from my nose, probably gonna raise a question that's not from an Instagram fitness coach.
Yeah, no, I agree. This is not the first time I've gotten this question in the lifting world.
So maybe it's more normal. Maybe we're abnormal.
It's not the first. Well, I always answer it the same way. Is you probably have hemorrhoids, but
I don't think so. I don't. If I had a hemorrhoid,
is there blood on the
Right.
toilet paper,
Right.
or is there blood in the bowl?
I would never say, and I'm not a hemorrhoid king. I'm not a hemorrhoid doctor, but I'm never gonna say if I have a hemorrhoid that I'm bleeding, that my poop is bleeding.
That's different. Yeah.
Right? Like that's a
yeah.
different description.
Yeah. My
I wouldn't say if I got a bloody nose, I wouldn't say like my brain's dripping blood.
No.
You know what I mean? And that's kind of
Yeah. So without
go to
any
a doctor, dude.
Yeah, without any further clarification, I would go to a doctor. Go to a doctor anyway. If you're chronically constipated, you need to look at maybe you have irritable bowel syndrome or something like that. That's where I live. you can try taking some fiber and see if that helps, but don't wait forever. If you're bleeding into the bowl, you need to get on the phone right now and get an appointment, or if it's a lot, you need to maybe go talk to an ER doc like soon, urgent care or something
before
like
you're
that.
hearing this podcast.
Yeah,
buddy.
before you. Yeah, like I don't know when you left this message yesterday, but if you're streaking on the toilet paper, it is more likely to be hemorrhoids than anything else. Hemorrhoids, 1 in 20 Americans, both men and women.
All ages, though, considered in that?
About half of adults older than 50.
That's what I thought.
Have hemorrhoids.
Yeah, in my head, I have that stat close to like the disc-ish. Everyone's like, degenerative disc. Like, yeah, bitch, everyone.
Go get some psyllium husk pills from Costco. They're cheap and they can entirely work. They just coat your gut.
And to like silver line this thing, I'm honored, and I'm
touched. I'm really touched that
flattered that you feel comfortable.
Talk to me about your asshole.
I think it's a gentleman. I don't think and I think is this month, maybe November was like mental health.
November was men's mental health month.
So I like that a man feels comfortable with his body to express it, even though I guess men don't normally have issues expressing their bodies. They got issues expressing their emotions. But either way, buddy, thanks for calling in. Speaking
of men expressing emotions, I was just reading this or just watching this video that Jennifer Garner, the former Mrs. Ben Affleck, posted on her Instagram. It was a barber in Jersey, and it was video of him with his clients. And you know how the barber asks you to like tilt your head, whatever. It's like, so he has them tilt their head up, and then he kisses them on the forehead.
I'd probably slap my like. Like they're
all pleased.
Yeah.
They're all pleased. They're all like all laugh a little bit, and I mean a little surprised, but pleased.
I'd be very surprised.
Some of them
in Jersey, you would think.
Yeah, some of them turn their frowns upside down.
Yeah, you would think. You think you're gonna get shot. East Coast love.
I don't know though. I don't know.
I'm not very touchy. Is my issue.
I'm not. I would be uncomfortable with it, but at the same time,
it's better than being an asshole.
Yeah, there's good intent. Almost anything's better than being an asshole.
Sure. This is a question we get every single year, and we'll probably attack it 2 ways, or at least in my head it comes off 2 ways. Is it okay to skip the gym if you're feeling sick?
Yes.
So I'd say in terms of pure gains in the gym, you going to the gym 3 days a week for 10 years is going to be much more important than the one workout that you miss. Pushing yourself every single day, going often, even if your workouts are half-assed, but you're doing them all the time for years, you're going to be way better off. 2, your sickness, your body's obviously fighting off something. You'd be better off fully resting up, which I'm not a doctor again, but let's say the cold or whatever takes you 3 days to get better, and then going to the gym when you feel better, rather than trying to fight through it with the stress you're adding to your body, and then you're sick-ish for 5 days, right?
Yeah.
And then let alone just being nice.
Somebody that I follow on Instagram who follows me, who I'm not going to name here, but like post a couple of weeks ago with, sick, had to pull 800, then went to the hospital with and was admitted with double pneumonia. Knew I was going to get admitted. It's like, hold on, wait, what?
Yeah.
Like, are you aware where we are in time right now? This timeline, the worst timeline, includes people getting sick and dying all around us from respiratory illnesses. Like, what?
Yeah, what are you doing?
What are you doing? What are you thinking about?
We're digging in. What do you think was most important advice or information you got to address and improve mental health and well-being? Also, do you think... I don't know what this one is. Gee, that's wild. I don't know what's going on. Also, how do you think the 8th of April 2016 video on deadlift comparisons stand up today?
Did you do a video in April?
I mean, I'm sure I did. I'm sure I did a video in April 2016, but do I remember what the fuck that video is? No. And stand up to what? I have no idea what you're talking about, dude. But we'll just tackle the mental health part.
Stand up with your deadlift.
Yeah. What do you think was the most important advice or information you ever got to address and improve mental health or well-being?
That's a good question. I don't know. I mean, obviously go see a therapist, but I think that maybe the best thing I ever heard my therapist say was, "You're a good person, and don't let anybody tell you any different than that." That was like
a little affirmation.
That was the most impactful thing that I've heard regarding my own mental health, to be honest.
Yeah,
because people will try to make you feel like you're the problem and you're a piece of shit and whatever. And I certainly dealt with that, before.
That's the meme. Like, I go to therapy to deal with people that don't go to therapy.
That's a good one. Yeah, that's a very good point.
Yeah, I have no one advice by any means. I always recommend talking to someone, whether it is a close friend, family member, therapist, if applicable to you. And then the biggest thing with therapy, I would say, is that there isn't answers. There's not going to be one advice. And then, like, same thing, we're getting to another question about, like, business or lifting. What's one advice? What's business? One advice. Like, there is no one advice. If it was that simple, that's the secret, right? Everyone would, if there was one advice that fixed mental health, there wouldn't be such thing as mental illness.
We'd be on it.
Yeah, it would be so easy. But with therapy, I think the biggest thing is that it's about learning and about kind of growing and exploring rather than trying to get an answer. And I would say similar for like a regular doctor, right? But except the regular doctor is doing that work for you. Like they're looking at all these symptoms and kind of saying, oh, okay, it looks like a virus, not a cold or whatever.
Right.
Therapy is like you exploring that with your therapist, because mental is even more complicated than our bodies, which is already complicated. So you can't pinpoint it. But yeah, it's kind of a exploration of sorts, so you can learn a lot rather than don't go to a therapist, even for a couple months. Just expect an answer or a fix. You can't just put a Band-Aid on any of it.
I will say too that a part of You're a Good Person was being able to recognize that boundaries that I wanted to draw, things that I wanted to say, ways I wanted things to be, were not bad things, and was not a bad person for bringing them up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
More lifty. Is the overhead press overrated or underrated?
For me, it was always overrated because I suck at it and it always hurts my shoulders. Most of the overhead pressing I've done has really not been overhead. It's been like incline.
Yeah, dumbbells or something.
And barbells too. I've passed out doing incline barbell presses.
Yeah, it doesn't feel good.
No, it's just kind of not my thing.
I would say for power lifters, overhead press is probably overrated. I don't think the OHP shoulder strength is one thing and would never hurt having too strong of shoulders to be a good bench presser, but the idea that your overhead is going to directly affect your bench, I think, is highly overrated. But I would say for the majority of folks, a standing overhead press of some nature, barbell or even dumbbell, I like a standing dumbbell a lot, or even like a seated legs out deal, is probably underrated for the majority of people.
Yeah.
It's like fine to build delts, obviously, but it's just a great overall pressing movement.
Ladies and gentlemen, man, I miss y'all. A lot's been going on. I'm currently looking.
I'm trying to see what this
on the gram
April video is, but it's 30 seconds long, and so it's nothing.
April 2016.
Oh, 16. Oh,
yeah, that's Jesus. What I'm saying. Yeah, I probably put out a video a day that month. Yeah, I wouldn't even do it.
That's a rough go. Who knows?
What is the biggest piece of advice you would give to someone who wants to open a gym?
Don't.
Oh.
I mean, I'm saying that right now because it's more challenging right now. And if you're in a position where it's going to be 100% of what you do and your livelihood, it's super challenging right now. If you have the ability to do other things that are related, like personal training or online coaching or something like that along with it, then maybe that would be fine. I just wouldn't straight up open a gym right now. Because I know that people have not come rushing back to gyms where we are.
Well, I don't think they've rushed back to anything. Some of the like November e-com and in-store and in-person numbers came back and stuff, and all consumer purchasing's down.
Yeah, some of that has to do with supply chain stuff, and some of it has to do with just an uncertainty in the economy. Now, I can say this, and anybody that's on the on the edge asking this question, like whether they should, on the bubble, whether it should go one way or the other. I don't think that what I'm saying is actually going to make any difference one way or the other. If you've made up your mind to do it, you'll do it. If you're on the bubble, you'll probably still do it. I just right now wouldn't do it. In 6 months, it might be a great time to do it, or 8 months, or a year. We did what we did because we were, the train was moving already by the time this happened, and it's thinner than I wanted it to be. We're off projections by a lot, but I think it'll come around still. But I know what it costs us in terms of money and just emotionally in terms of things not being exactly where we wanted them to be due to factors out of our control.
Yeah. To me, at least on your topic, I think any business opening is difficult. There's tons of ups and downs.
Yeah.
Obviously, COVID and things make it harder for certain businesses. But I think it's just always going to be the case. No one's ever, unless you have like a tenure in an industry, maybe things go a little less complicated. But even for us, things are much less complicated than if we had never been in the industry. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like we forepassed many obstacles just by our past knowledge and experiences. So I think for me, everything's difficult. It's probably not the best time in history to open any business. But my biggest advice is, and this goes for kind of anything, but especially business, is be super strict and be super clear in your vision. Be super strong and super consistent in your execution. And be flexible in your adjustments along the way. And that's something I think we've done a decent job with. We had a really big vision going into things. We because of our experience, we answered questions before they happened, which is part of just knowing what may or may not happen.
Right.
But we've also been able to make adjustments that weren't in our plan. And some are good, some are bad, some are whatever, some are to be determined. But I think that's going to be huge for any business. Anything you end up doing is having a vision, being able to execute on that vision, and then being able to be flexible enough to try to make adjustments along the way when things don't always work.
Yep. That's the case. That's any business. That I think that gyms are notoriously break-even businesses unless you have something extra.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know like that much, because every business owner I've ever talked to in any industry always says don't open in what they do. But they got to be lying. Like, some of them got to be making money, right? Like, you talk to any restaurant owner, and they're like, no, you don't want to do food.
Right.
And you talk to any gym owner, like, you don't want to do gym. It's like, well, then what the fuck business do I want to do?
Right.
Like, clothing isn't running. I don't want to open a Macy's. No way, that's fucking easy. You know, like, I don't know what business you want me to do then. Like,
and I'm not saying never do it. I'm just saying that doing it right now is very challenging, and a lot of people are not thinking deeply enough about all of the issues. I can say that because I thought we did a pretty good job of trying to project what was going to happen, and they're just factors out of our control.
Yeah. But just like, there's got to be money in some of this shit, and people are still always not against it. I don't know. I don't understand. It's similar lines, but maybe this will pop up a different question for you or answer in your head. What would you tell your younger self in terms of career, relationships, mental health, and goals? Do you plan on opening more gym locations in the future?
Boy. See, that's really hard because the temptation is to say, avoid particular people in particular situations. But anytime you say that, though, you're immediately saying you're not going to end up in the same place that you are now.
Right.
And you have no idea, what kind of condition you'd be in if you didn't do the things and didn't have the experiences that you had.
Yeah, it sounds a little cliche, life coachy stuff, but like, where you only got to this point in your exact life where I'm saying these exact words and you're listening to these exact words because of every step along the way we already took.
Right. And I mean, stand up for yourself sooner, but like in reality, things would have changed sooner had that happened. So, like, and you don't end up in exactly the same place either. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe I don't know. I could have had a entirely different career if I was talking to the much younger version of myself, but I don't know where that would be.
Right. And would it be better or would it not be?
Right. I mean, time has a way, or I don't believe in fate exactly, but time has a way of like, if you went back in time to try to fix something, likely things would end up roughly the same, but just for different reasons.
Yeah. I don't know if I believe in fate either. I think sometimes I do, and sometimes I don't. Obviously, no one knows.
No one knows, but I'm not a big believer in fate. I think because things that we ascribe to fate, we're always looking backwards at them. It's always a retrospective.
Sure.
So.
Sure. Yeah, I don't know. Because I'm the same thing. Like, I talked about it on when Bart and Gio had me on their new podcast, like regrets and like things I would have done or shouldn't have done. And I don't really like to play that game either. And I'm not also the guy who's just like, I regret nothing. Like, I don't know about all that either. But I think for me, and I've talked about it in our other business podcasts, like where I have this weird courage with business or stupidity, where my dad was like fairly frugal and pretty good with money. And so I think I'm decent with money. Like, I'm not reckless. But he also, when things go, he's like money's made to be spent. You know, like, you can't just sit on it and expect like to make more money or to not have fun in life. Like, while you're just sitting on these fake numbers on your phone, you know, like do something with it. So like business wise, I've kind of believed in myself and the people I surround myself with and had that courage. Other aspects of my life, I haven't always had that courage. Like college basketball was like an ego, I was like confident in myself, but deep down I wasn't, to like really put myself out there to allow myself to succeed. Friendships, relationships, like being vulnerable, a lot of stuff I talk with Bart and Gio on and off podcasts are like around those topics. And so for me, I think now that I'm getting a little bit older, trying to be as courageous or like shoot your shot in all aspects of my life as much as I have maybe been reckless, or not reckless, but not once questioned myself in business. Just because I do believe in like the no like failure thing. You know, like, yeah, man, like I like you could call Mama's Boys, my other podcast, a failure, because like we stopped after a year, we lost a shit ton of money, but like the audience loved it, people still asked for it, we had a good time. Then is it like a failure? You know what I mean? Then you and I figured out how to budget this one better or whatever. You know, you always do kind of learn something, and I just hate it because it's so cliche. That's what people say. But I would say things of that nature are probably be a little bit more courageous. Shoot your shot in business, shoot your shot in friends, shoot your shot in relationships, shoot your shot in real estate. If you want to like learn those things or do those things, like go learn and do those things. Like why be scared? Like you're literally, there's so much information, so much opportunity in this world.
I guess maybe one thing that if I went back to when I moved into Sacramento, if I'd somehow pulled money out of the air or talked my father-in-law into spending money on commercial real estate rather than putting his money in Swiss bank accounts or whatever, bought commercial real estate in downtown Sacramento, I would have done that. That would have been a good thing to do.
And probably a good thing to do kind of anywhere. Yeah. You know, like real estate's just kind of always a decent bet. A little more fitnessy. What diet do you recommend for putting on size? And as much as I believe we've like advanced in like fitness, and because we've talked about the same things for 8 years and tried to spread good information, there's still always people out there that are ruining people's minds. I was on TikTok and I was scrolling around.
Well, that was your first mistake.
I know, but you know, like, because back in the day though too, you'd say that about YouTube, right? 2011, you're like, what am I going to learn from YouTube? You got some jerk off there, but like, little do we know, there's fucking Dr. Eric Helms putting out college-worthy information there, right? Like, there's always good opportunity along with the bad. So I'm scrolling, and this dude's shirt first off says kale is bullshit. I'm like, all right. Here we go, buddy. and then he's in the grocery store, and how I talk shit sucks because I also argue the other side, and that's how my mind just works. So like, I'm always anti following the advice of the biggest guy in the room.
Yeah.
But this guy looks like shit.
Yeah.
You know, so like, I also don't want to listen to this guy either. So this guy looks like shit. He's wearing a shitty white T-shirt that says "Kale is bullshit," and he's shaking around fucking not Kellogg's? Who's the guy like the colonial looking guy on the oatmeal? What company is that?
Quaker Oats.
Quaker. He's fucking shaking this fucking Quaker around and says that oats are stealing all my minerals and vitamins, and that you should never eat oatmeal because obviously plants in this world, seeds, were not made for us to be eaten, and when we eat them, it steals all of our nutrients. And that's also why kale is bullshit. I'm like, all right, dude, I don't know what you're talking about.
I'm in pain just listening to this.
Yeah, why you're screaming at me in fucking Whole Foods. But point is, this motherfucker has hundreds of thousands of followers spreading misinformation. And so then I am more empathetic to someone asking me what diet is best for gaining weight. Because diet is what you eat. Like there is no diet. If your diet has, someone said this long time ago, I don't know, it might have been Lane or somebody, like if your diet has a name, you don't need it. Like that. Yeah. Your diet shouldn't have a name or like a cult or like a certain book section. To gain weight, to gain muscle, we're going to have to eat in a calorie surplus, which means that we need to eat more calories in a day than our body expends. And how do you do that? Well, we can aim with some bumpers. You can't get that as precise as we want because every little factor comes into it. How much we move, how much muscle we have, how much we slept, our stress, even like humidity and how much we're breathing or not breathing. All these things come into play. And so what we want to do is just try to dial down a little mini science experiment on ourselves, control the variables we can, and get as close as we can to figuring out what that number is. Best way to do that, weigh yourself every other day in the morning, the exact same time, wearing the exact same things, write it down. Then we're going to start to track and weigh our food every single day because there's another question in here on how do you begin to track. You weigh and measure everything you eat in a day and track it. There's a million apps. MyFitnessPal's free. You could start somewhere like that. And then you're going to take the average of your body weight at the end of the week and the average of the calories you ate at the end of the week. If you gained weight, you're on the right path. If you didn't gain weight, try to eat more calories coming up. Rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. Adding maybe 200 calories a week if you're not gaining weight is probably a decent place to start. You can call it a reverse diet. You can call it whatever you want. But that's probably where I would start with gaining weight. Which has never been an issue for me.
It's never been that big an issue for. Well, actually, it kind of was at various points. It's been harder. My weight is weird. If people are finding that eating actual like healthy stuff is not causing them to gain additional weight, sometimes you have to dip into the not so healthy stuff for a while to kind of kick things off. I don't know. There are a lot of skinny people who need to hit the excess a little harder because their background burn, as I would call it, their NEAT is what most other people call it. It's very high. Yeah.
And or they just don't eat as much as they think.
Yeah.
You hang out with some kind of skinny people for like a week, like on a trip or something, you're like, damn, that dude didn't finish any meal. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So all that kind of adds up.
Yeah, people don't pay attention to that kind of stuff either. We've had a question come in on the stream.
Yep.
Many people that have been fit and strong. This is, I'm gonna say Barry Bow, but that's Barre Bow. Many people that have been fit and strong have problems starting to work out again because you remember the weights you used to lift.
Yeah.
What's some tip to get over that?
That's a similar question I had. Someone gave their numbers, said like I used to squat 500 pounds. Yeah, I just started squatting again. It's 125. What do I do? Bench days today. And truth is, I don't have a lot of like mental advice for that, other than like it will come back faster than you think. Yeah. And then two is like I've done a decent job, and maybe it's because I'm a fake power lifter and everyone hates me for that, but like I've just never tied my identity to my strength that much. Mm-hmm. Like obviously I would love to be able to just rip 700 pounds off the ground every single week. Like that would be cool, but like my ego's never like taken a shot, like yesterday I did 500 for 3 reps. Like that's furthest from a PR ever. But I like to train and I like to work. So I guess the mental aspect would be like choose a strict goal again, make it real. If you used to squat 500 like my dude, and now you're squatting 125, like all right, give yourself 3 months and try to squat 365, right?
That is such a gigantic fall off, though. I wonder.
Yeah, who knows?
Like,
I mean, it's coordination. And who knows? He maybe didn't max out. He didn't give details.
Yeah, I don't. I mean, 125 isn't even a bar weight that
Right.
we normally encounter. Right. So I tend to think that one's made up.
Yeah. It could have been an exaggeration to get a point.
It doesn't really take that long to get 80, even maybe 90% of your strength back.
Yeah.
In the same way that it doesn't take very long to get your cardio conditioning back either. It's literally, for most people, just a few weeks before you start to see significant improvements in your cardio fitness.
100%.
It's just the doing it. And the thing that, like if you're doing the thing you did before for cardio, then that'll come back fast. If you're going to do something entirely different, like if
marathon to sprinter.
Yeah, exactly. Or if what you did before was, you walked on the treadmill in an incline and now you're going to swim.
Right.
That's a totally different thing. There's a coordination element. Right. It's all different. Cardio is weirdly specific.
Yeah. And lifting can be too, right? If you're squatting and all of a sudden you're trying to do strongman or weightlifting. In terms of like actual lifting advice, I'd actually recommend, and I don't know what's popular, what most people recommend or what most people do, but in the circles that I used to run with or have heard, when people are coming back, I actually think that they do things wrong. People go stupid light, and they start to just do like sets of 10 or 20 on all these things. And I would actually argue the opposite. I would do lower repetitions, anywhere from 1s to 5s. I would keep it in the RPE 7, 8, even 9 range, because just because your strength is gone, it's also like a drug versus not drug thing. When you have a bunch of steroids running through you, your strength like in your muscles is still there, but your tendons and stuff can't keep up. So if you're the old adamant of like doing higher reps makes more sense, so you can catch everything up, rather than if you come in and pull a 1 rep max.
Condition,
if you come in and pull up a 1 rep max and you're juiced to your gills, you might rip something, get injured. But if you're not and you're healthy, you're not going to rip anything. Like you'll be fine just maxing out in the gym. Like if you warm up properly, etc. The chances are so low. So I would actually tend to work up to a decent single in all my lifts, work on the strength, work on the coordination, RPE 7, 8, maybe even 9, and then some back offs. And the other thing is I wouldn't pump volume right away. I would save that for when you do quote unquote plateau or you need somewhere to go. If you come in and you're just doing 5 sets of 5 all week, every week, what happens when you do hit that 365 squat? And then now what? You're going to do 10 sets of 5, 15 sets of 5?
Right.
Like, so I hit a decent single. I'll hit a couple sets of 3, a couple sets of 5, multiple times a week. I'm also obviously a little bit more of a fan of higher frequency than some old school cats, but squatting, benching 2 to 4 times a week, deadlifting once or twice a week, you can get that groove in. Same thing with conditioning. If you want to get back in conditioning, you're walking once a week. Not going to happen. But you walk a little bit every day, you jog a little bit every day or every other day. You want to be a swimmer, you're swimming once a week. Probably take you a year to get in shape. But if you swim 3 times a week, every other day, et cetera, you'll be fine. And then I think setting goals and realizing like why you're actually doing this. And I know that's a little deeper than maybe some people take their lifting, but like, do you enjoy it? If you don't enjoy it and you're just trying to get 600-pound deadlift to get a 600-pound deadlift, like go try something new, bro. Go fucking play frisbee golf or just find a new activity, something like find a way to enjoy this thing. I think everyone takes, and it's hard not to in our society, but like take yourself a little too serious. You end up taking your hobbies too serious, even your health too serious. Like, no, man, what's optimal for my health? Like, mix in a little bit of stuff. It won't hurt you. Enjoy it.
I encountered a question earlier this week. I was listening to our friends at Massonomics on their podcast. They did a Q&A this week as well.
Steal it, dude. Stealing content.
I'm going to steal content right now. And actually somebody asked the question about the difference between yams and sweet potatoes. And I love the guys, but they totally muffed this question. So
a yam isn't an item, right? It's a dish. Am I right?
No.
Fuck.
Yams and sweet potatoes are different things. What's confusing is that in the United States, under USDA, sweet potatoes have to carry the word yam with them as well for some stupid reason. But sweet potatoes are indigenous to North America.
Are yams Irish?
No.
Fuck them Irish, dude. I only eat sweet potatoes.
Yams come from like Africa and the Caribbean, and there's a whole cultural thing around yams. Yams are brown on the outside, and they're not red on the inside. Sweet potatoes are red on the inside and red on the outside for the most part. Some
What's
are
the
purple,
dish?
Some are lighter.
Like fucking brown sugar and all that shit. Like a Thanksgiving deal.
Some scary casserole with candied yams.
That's a candied yam.
Candied yams, yeah.
See, I think, I don't know. Maybe my household just called them yams, so I thought that yam was a dish. I didn't even like that shit, to be honest. You know what's a fat move? I think, shout out Alberto Nunez. I think this is his fat move. I think that fool will do a yam or sweet potato. Don't really know. Cut that thing open and throw a Reese's in there.
Oh, no.
Yeah, and just mix it up while it's hot.
Oh, no.
I like the idea. I've never tried it.
Something that I will absolutely do is take pumpkin pie spice.
Okay.
And throw it on a yam.
Yeah, it makes sense.
On a sweet potato.
Yeah.
Sweet potato.
Do they taste that different? A yam and a sweet potato?
Yeah. Huh. They're similar, but they do taste different. Sweet potatoes are sweeter.
Yeah. Even a potato is kind of underrated, I feel like. Just so like a
potato can be really good.
Well, even a basic. Maybe I'm a basic bitch. You just throw that thing in the microwave. Like it's not that bad. You throw a little butter on there. Like it's kind of good. And I just never eat it.
I may append this recipe to this show description, but we have a recipe at home. It's called New Delhi potatoes.
Yeah,
it's literally potatoes diced up and spices, and it tastes super Indian. And you make it in the microwave, and it's done in like 10 minutes. It's
microwave
amazing.
Moves. We should do a microwave cookbook.
We should. We should do
a meathead microwave cookbook.
Yeah. That word meathead though.
A massive,
leaves a bad taste in my mouth.
Massive microwave cookbook. Meals.
Yeah, meathead with anything else makes me a little.
There's a barbecue spot. There's a couple in Sac that are decent. I'm not gonna tarnish any names here, just in case we make friends later. One of them I think is overrated and a little more expensive than the others, but they have like I don't even know if it's twice. My mom makes a ripping twice baked potato too.
Oh yeah,
twice bakes are so good. I guess they would call it a stuffed potato. I don't even know what this place calls it.
Full dressed, maybe.
Yeah, maybe. But they're throwing brisket and
my.
And it's really good. It's fucking probably $35 or something stupid, but it's good.
Bring on the $35 potatoes.
Yeah, I can do potatoes. I just don't eat that potatoes like that. I feel like, even though I probably should. They're super filling.
Yeah,
you can kind of dress them up to be quote unquote unhealthy, dress them down to be healthy-ish.
Yeah.
A little spray butter, a little salt.
Yeah. Speaking of expensive foods, my son is here running the video board for us. My daughter-in-law is sitting here as well. They brought over the other day a bottle of 41-year-old bourbon. It's an Elijah Craig, 18-year-old Elijah Craig that was bottled 41 years ago.
So the name of the maker, name of the company, all of it?
It's a very famous bourbon maker. And if you ever, this is about between a $300 and $500 bottle of liquor that my daughter-in-law's dad he collects but doesn't drink, and he just happened to give them this, and they were thankfully not precious about it and said, let's open and see what this tastes like. And if you were wondering if very expensive bourbon tastes better, the answer is yes.
I think most things are. Like if you like the thing, like
you'll like the more expensive one.
Yeah, like if you don't like cars and you get a Porsche 911, you're gonna be like, this is uncomfortable. Like like there's no AC seats, there's no fucking this car sucks. But if you like cars and you've driven a 911, you're like, this thing's fucking sick.
Yeah, you can at least appreciate it on that level.
Yeah. No, you could not want to own one because you have kids or whatever. You don't want to sit that low to the ground.
Garage,
yeah, all that. I understand it. Yeah, the applicableness of whatever, but because I've seen, and it was like a YouTube video, so maybe it was like half hammed up. But the guy got in the 911 is like, this thing's so uncomfortable, blah 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 blah. I'm like, you just don't like cars.
Yeah,
like driving a 911's fucking sick. Like there's no, it's fun as shit. Like you can haul ass, like you go 60 and turn 90 degrees. Like you can't do that in most cars. Like it's fucking sick.
Yeah,
and so if you don't like cars, that's absolutely fine. So if you don't like bourbon,
right, it's not going to do it for you. Although it might, because if the thing that you're bothered by with liquor is
like
that
alcohol-y.
Yes, yeah,
true.
That's all mellowed out.
True,
all
and even like coffee's kind of like that. Like people say they don't like coffee, but if you're drinking like burnt ass shit coffee, if you don't like burnt water, like I understand that. But if you go like a light roast or a nice, like it has like some flavor to it, I understand. But I do think most things, nice shit is nice shit for a reason.
No, I agree 100%.
Not always.
Yeah,
most of the
not
time.
always.
Yeah, because people fuck it up and take advantage.
My theory about nice, expensive shit is that it's often created so that people who have too much money have something to buy.
Yeah, right. Yeah, and
it's like, well, I'll take a this, but it's got to be this version of
right.
this.
I think there's very few people that make dope shit that do it just to scam. If you're the bourbon guy and you're selling your bottle for $500, that's because you fucking love bourbon yourself and you spent 30 years to make sick bourbon.
Yeah.
It's not because like, oh, I'm gonna pull a quick one on Jim here and he's gonna be drinking trash water, for $500. Like most guys that get to the level of making, or whoever makes a fucking Rolex, like that guy loves watches and loves little fucking engineering shit.
Yeah.
Like he made that for a reason.
Yeah. I read a meme yesterday, and I hope this is true, about Eminem.
Yeah, the rapper.
The rapper, yeah. At the kind of beginning of the height of his ascendancy in the rap world, called his business manager and said, "Can I afford a Rolex?" And his business manager said, "You mean the company?"
Yeah, I think I've heard this story.
You mean the company? And he's like,
his first album fucking went platinum. Like, dude's probably already worth $50 million.
Yeah, and at the time, obviously the music industry was configured a little differently than it is now, so it was possible to make more money at the very beginning, but just had no concept of how much money he had, and in that interview, he's wearing a G-Shock. He's not wearing a Rolex.
Yeah, chilling. Yeah, even talk about music. There's a hip hop artist named Bryson Tiller out there, and he's streaming on Twitch. And so I don't know what popped in my head. I was like, I'm gonna look up this dude's fucking net worth. And he's big. He's not as big as Eminem. Like even when Eminem started, like he was so controversial. He's playing on like rock stations and rap stations. Like he was kind of a hit from the rip, So he probably not only was the industry different, but he was more popular than the guy I'm talking about. But I look at and I saw, but Bryson Tiller's big. Like he's kicking it with Drake and doing big songs. They said he's worth $2 million.
That's all?
That's sad, right?
Yeah.
Like, and who knows how accurate that is? But that's probably because of Spotify and shit, which made me kind of sad. Because I'm like, dude, this dude's like, I'm not like his number one fan. I think his music's fine. It's not like my guy. But I'm like, dude, this guy's on big tracks. Like, he's a big name. And he's like, and not that $2 million's something just to giggle at, but like in the 90s, that dude's probably worth $30 million.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, it sucks.
Yeah, that sucks. We have a follow-up question from our live stream viewer. Thanks for the answer about diet. How do you think meal replacement drinks are? I mean, the good ones that say they are real meals but mixed and so on, like brand Huel.
I don't know about any brands.
I don't know any brands either.
Typically, a meal replacement, I think, is probably going to be overpriced. If you want to buy a protein drink or protein powder, $1 per protein is pretty decent, and then you can fix it up yourself if you need more calories. Throw a banana in there, throw whole milk, throw peanut butter, etc. Ice cream if you're really trying to get some calories in there, etc., etc. I'd probably go that route. And maybe the industry's changed a little bit. I literally just don't pay attention to supplements anymore. But for a while, like $1 per calorie and all these things like meal replacements just didn't really make sense. They're just added random sugar in there for you.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the ready-to-drink ones travel okay. And
convenience, sure.
But other than that, and they don't usually taste terrible.
Yeah.
And they're usually okay in terms of macros, except, like you said, a little more on the carbohydrate and sugar than they really should be.
So much just depends on how busy you are, how much money you have, how much money you want to spend on these things.
Yeah,
because there's a lot of guys that would rather just cook some steak, throw it in rice, and throw it in a little tray to go too. Like that's convenient as well if you're a prepper,
Right.
Personal preference.
I saw that we had a question from our friend Jacob Ross.
Yeah. Do you have it? Or you want to hunt it?
Well, I just know the gist of it. The gist of it is like, what have we learned in the time that we've been doing this show that we didn't know?
Yeah. What topic have you learned most about compared to what you knew before?
That's a really good question.
I don't know how to answer this without sounding stupid pretentious. Not that I haven't learned anything, but a lot of things are topics that we could explain, but our guests explain better, and that's why we have a guest on. Our guest is more book smart in that thing, so they can explain it deeper. Or then like 3, a lot of things are like topics that are just confirming that I'm right or I know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I was going to say confirming. A lot of it was just very, very confirming. I don't know that there was anything that was like, ooh. Other than, I think maybe the one thing that I have, actually, I'm going to say 2. 2 things that have gained over the course of the 150-something episodes we've done of this show. One of them would be that the mental health thing just hits everybody, and everybody could talk about it, and not everybody does. That's the thing. Like there's always something. There's always something for everybody. And the other one is just how connected everything is. Like if you go back and look through, just talking about the media reviews that we did this year, if you go back and look at them, you would think, just based on the titles and the given subjects, that they're all, many of them are very different, even though they're sort of fitness related. But there are so many connections among them, either topically or actual people or whatever. It's crazy.
Yeah. I would probably, I guess, say the same. The mental health stuff or the sports psych we had on. Yeah. Although some of it was like confirming, none of it was like, oh my God, I never even imagined that. Like no info like that, but.
I wouldn't hate having a mental health professional on once a month.
Yeah.
And we do talk about mental health topics typically about once a month, but having a mental health professional on once a month wouldn't suck. It just has been more challenging during this time.
Yeah, we might be able to find a local one, which would be cool too, and even drag them in here, and I'll think on it. Yeah, I agree. And I think it's becoming more aware because, like, different generations, everyone's attention span's getting fucked up from TikTok and Instagram, obviously COVID and everyone feeling isolated, even just the world. You know, some people's, like, first reality that, like, maybe the government isn't perfect, you know? Like, just little things, like, everyone's a mini awakening, I feel like, has kind of happened through the last, like, 3 years. And so, like, and for some it's more drastic, for others it's not as drastic, but everyone's been affected somehow over the last 3 years. Like, wow, life's a little different right now, you know? And so, like, that alone makes mental health and it's just becoming more socially acceptable, right, to talk about those things. View it how you view it.
Yeah, it's I think that those of us who put out content tend to always be selling the nobody ever talks about this, but I don't think that's really true anymore. I think a lot of people do talk about it,
or like try to think about it themselves.
I think it's more about normalizing it, you know, in your own content and in the people that you deal with and stuff, and just like your life.
Yeah, one example is they did a new show segment when I was filming with Bart last time. They called it the hot seat, and they just, I didn't even know what was happening. They just whipped a seat out behind me and they said, all right, sit down. And they started drilling me. And then jokes and masturbation jokes and this jokes, and we're just flying. And then someone asked like a serious question. I was like, all right, you want me to ask that like serious now? And they're comedians. Right. I'm surrounded by 5 comedians. Yeah. And then I opened up a little bit just about stuff we've talked about too, death or thoughts or mental health or whatever. And then at the end of the episode, and they all like took it serious too, and they started asking like more questions and got a little more serious. And then and all dudes, 1, 2, 5 dudes, right? And all 5 dude comedians putting this content on YouTube in 2021. We rewind this 10 years ago, and they're going to be calling me names. YouTube comments are going to rip me for being a pussy. Yeah. You know, like it's just so different. I go to the YouTube comments, everyone's like supportive, like, wow, that's crazy. You guys talked about that. Wow, it's really cool to see, you know, 6 dudes kind of talk about that. Like it is a different time and space for some of that. So maybe we do explore it a little more. Yeah.
Well, and I think that the big thing is not the talking about it, it's what to do about it.
Yeah.
Like from a personal standpoint, people need to do stuff about it.
Yeah.
I'm bummed that somebody's depressed or sad or whatever, and they're experiencing something. Man, the real bummer is people who are legitimately mentally ill, as opposed to just, you know,
going through shit.
Yeah. And have no, they can really struggle to try to make things better and experience a lot of setbacks around it. But if what you're saying is, I feel depressed, but you're not doing anything about being depressed and you're somebody who's situationally depressed or whatever, if you're not doing something about it, then there's kind of no point in talking about it.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel, because like there's nothing we can do either to help people really, other than exposure and like be vulnerable ourselves, or try to bring experts that something will trigger. Because there is no answer to it. I think the biggest thing for me, even going back to some of the other questions, like what have you realized over the last couple of years or learned or whatever, it's like a lot of it is that like everyone is like fucked up. Everyone's trying. Some people are shit people, but the majority of people are just kind of fucked up and figuring it out on their own as well. And so I think, at least talking about it or having some experts on here slowly makes it slightly more relatable, because as soon as you start to go through something, whatever it is, death or depression or anything, you do feel insanely isolated. And that's why you tend to isolate yourself. Like, damn, dude, no one understands me. Right. No one's ever had this. And no one's been through the exact thing you've been through, but people have been through similar-ish, and people do feel shitty. Other people have woken up with a cloud over their head for months. Like, you're not... it's just like corny at this point, but it's true. Like, you're not alone. Like, everyone does go through some things, and some are much more drastic than others, and some people feel harder than others. But we all are having this weird human experience together, and it's just weird that as communal as you are, or as verbal as you are, or as much therapy as you go through, you do always just see the world there. Mm-hmm. It's the world, and then it's you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's never like human. You never like so feel connected. It's always world, me. And how do I navigate this bullshit?
Right. This is always a particularly difficult time of year for me. This is the time of year that we recognized, in 2008 that my mom was dying. My best friend passed away on Pearl Harbor Day in the next year. My dad died in September, but both my parents' birthdays were in December.
Yeah. Just reminders everywhere.
My mom died the day after Christmas. It's just the time of year that like I'm a little.
Yeah.
I'm always a little bit more sensitive, and I happened on this Instagram, and I'll link it. I don't remember the guy's thing, but he was based in Canada, and I think maybe he's in the U.S. now. But he's the guy that stands out on the street corner with the signs.
Yeah. I've seen him on TikTok or something.
Yeah. I think he's bigger on TikTok.
Like, come give a hug or something.
Yeah, the hug guy.
Yeah.
I just bawled through one of those. Just like,
because some of the things people say is really like heartening.
That's the thing that gets you. It's like, you're in pain, but what I want to do, it's like he said, you're a good person. I love you. Whatever. But what you want to say is go get some help.
Yeah.
Don't let this be the only time that someone affirms you, the only time you get to talk about how you actually feel. Don't let this be the only time.
Yeah, but even that's hard, right?
Yeah.
You tell someone to go get help, they're not going to do it. It's just like diet. You can tell someone to deadlift. You can, what do they say? Lead a horse to water.
But you can't make them drink.
Yeah. Just all of it.
You can't ever make anybody do anything, but you can sometimes be in the right position to suggest what people might do, and they might actually go along with it. But
yeah, it's hard. Yeah, I don't know the answer, and obviously no one does. Otherwise, the world would be a much happier place. But all I think is you share experiences and share the truth out there, and so you can connect, so you can at least semi-relate.
I'm going to vote that we put this one to bed.
Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for listening. New episodes every Wednesday. Probably a movie review or something on the way soon. Appreciate you. Travel safe in these holidays if you guys are running around the country or the world. 3sb.co. Hopefully some clothes coming out soon. Stay tuned on our Instagrams and Twitters and things, and you'll know. And I'm Silent Mike, everywhere you want to find me.
I am at the Jim McD on all the social media. The show is 50% facts, where percent is a word and 50 is just numbers. And hopefully in the relatively near future, we have a movie review with what I would term a mega guest. And I think everybody will be shocked that we're talking about this movie, but probably not shocked that it's with this person maybe. Anyway, we'll talk to you next week.